It's time now for Igniting Change, a weekly provocative and empowering program where you, the listener, can ignite change. Now here's your host, Barbara Arnwine.
Get up, stand up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Igniting Change. You know we got a great show for you for this hour, so listen carefully because we're going to be covering a lot, and we are so glad that you're here. Let me bring up my mighty co-host. You know what I'm talking about, one of the country's boldest, most amazing, most, what can I say, most powerful, one of the best civil rights, voting rights attorneys you'll ever meet. I am talking about none other than the chair of the board of the Transformative Justice Coalition. I'm talking about Daryl D. Jones. Hey, Daryl.
Hey, Barbara, it must be Tuesday. It must be noon Eastern Standard Time because we're talking about igniting change. My goodness, Barbara, what changes we have had in the last week. It seems as though not a day goes by that things aren't happening, that there are all kinds of major issues that are occurring across the country. And this one, Barbara, this one is occurring during what we consider the harvest week, right? Thanksgiving week, when families are gathering, preparing for the holidays, not just for Thanksgiving, but also for all the other holidays, whether it's Christmas or whatever your holiday is that you're celebrating. This is that season. But my goodness, Barbara, what's happening in North Carolina and Charlotte and all these different issues that are being presented to us now, it's just incredible. It's just a fast pace, Barbara.
Oh, yes, and it's a reminder to everyone listening that elections have consequences. People failed to show up on November 2024, and we ended up with this horrific, unconstitutionally operating Trump administration that's just, talk about devilment. It's been ugly day by day. Don't get confused.
Wait a minute, Barbara. The devil is taking notes. It's not. Don't put this on the devil. The devil is taking notes because there's some things that are going on here that he's learning from.
Evil is evil. I tell you, evil is evil. And people, we want to also remind you that that's why when folks showed up on November the 4th, the right things happened. We have to protect each other. This is the Thanksgiving season. It is a season for giving, thanks for all the good things in our lives, but also it's a reminder that we give thanks by our actions. So today, the title of our show is Giving Thanks for Courageous Action. Yes, we are praising all of those who have gone to the streets, all of those who have gone to the voting booths, all of those who are opposing the evil that this administration is trying to inflict upon all Americans. So giving thanks for courageous action, confronting the evils of the Trump administration, the ICE deployments, and so many other unconstitutional misdeeds. So we are glad to be with you today. We have some amazing guests who will be bringing up, and you're going to want to hear from them because you may not be getting this from your major news. But before we get into the substance of our show, we wanted to just cover a few quick subjects that have been in the news and that you're wondering about, and we wanted to give you our perspective on these issues really quickly. First of all, everyone, this next Tuesday is Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday is about giving, not getting. And we hope that as you are comprising your list of charities and to give to, that you will include the Transformative Justice Coalition. You can go to tjcoalition.org and hit that donate button and give us whatever you're capable of giving. At the same time that we're asking people to give, we're also asking people to be conscious that in this holiday season, your economic dollars count. And guess what, folks? We ain't buying it, right, Daryl? We ain't buying it. So we are saying to everybody out there, use your dollars carefully and don't just shop from these institutions, these corporations that you know are doing the wrong thing. And so there's a weain'tbuyingit.com website. And when you look at it, it's asking you from this Thanksgiving until Cyber Monday, don't buy goods from a couple of horribly acting corporations that have people up in arms. And those corporations, of course, is Target. Why else? Why not? We've been boycotting Target. We got to keep boycotting them. They're still wrong, folks. They're still doing wrong on DEI, and it's wrong to take our dollars and deny our people equality. We're also saying to people, Home Depot, sad Home Depot, but you're allowing these people to come on your premises and arrest people and do all these wrongs. You can do better. You've done so much wrong in the past, and it's time for you to do right. And we're also saying to Amazon, you heard me, Amazon, all y'all up there on Amazon, I see you buying, and you got your Prime accounts. Well, put that stuff on pause right now for the holiday season from Thanksgiving all the way through Cyber Monday. Let them feel some heat. Jeff Bezos, you know what you're doing is wrong. You know that what you've done to the Washington Post, the people you fired, the voices you silenced, you have done so much wrong. And it's wrong for us to give you our dollars when we can do better elsewhere, or we can just sit and save some money. So that's it, Daryl. Let's go to our next one, Daryl. Go ahead and take the lead.
Before we go there, Barbara, when it comes to Home Depot, the creativeness and the inventiveness of people in protesting is just incredible. With Home Depot, what some communities are doing, Barbara, you'll love this. What some people are doing is they're going into the Home Depot and trying to get Home Depot to get the message about, not allowing ICE to be on their property, gathering up people that they believe may be in the country and undocumented. So what people are doing, they're going into Home Depot and they're buying what? An ice scraper. An ice scraper. And then after they buy this $2 ice scraper, they get in and have created this long line to return it. So that it slows down the operation of Home Depot. And that's their protest. And to see this line of people going through Home Depot to return ice scrapers saying, get ICE out of Home Depot and out of their community. Barbara, the creativeness of what they're doing in these protests is just amazing.
And the importance, people, is that they're taking action. And we want to just give a shout out to all those tens of thousands who showed up at the National Mall this last Saturday to say that we want to remove the regime. Yes. All of us have that kind of sentiment. People who voted didn't know that they were going to get this, and anybody who thought they were getting this, you were just wrong-headed because this administration is doing evil and harm that's affecting everyone around this country. Hey, Daryl, another thing that happened that we really want to make people know of is the federal judge who said, no, to the Comey and the Letitia James indictments. Tell folks what happened.
Oh yeah, Barbara. Just an amazing case that came out of that circuit with the judge there indicating that because the U.S. attorney who was appointed especially by President Trump to bring charges against Letitia James and James Comey was not done legally. And what the judge, in essence, found was that because the prosecutor, the U.S. attorney, who had signed off on the indictments, was not properly in place, was not constitutionally put in place, was not voted on by the Senate to be able to be in that position past 120 days, that she was not able to bring the charges, and that the indictments that were then subsequently brought were no good, and so they had to dismiss the charges. The judge dismissed the cases against both Comey as well as Letitia James. Now, in the matter of James Comey, Barbara, it becomes really interesting because we've heard U.S. Attorney Pam Bondi, the top U.S. attorney, say that it's their intention to appeal these decisions. But we also know that for James Comey, that the time to try to bring charges against him again, to reindict him again, has gone beyond. The statute of limitations has run. So it certainly leaves open possible charges if the appeal is successful to the U.S. Court of Appeals and subsequently perhaps to the Supreme Court to open it back up. But for the time standing now, the cases against the Attorney General Letitia James as well as James Comey, are dismissed. They're gone. It's incredible to watch what has happened in that courtroom, Barbara, because having been both a prosecutor and a defense attorney, to see that the U.S. attorney who was bringing the charges did not know the process for bringing forward the indictment, of taking it to the grand jury and having the grand jury vote on the indictment before it was being presented. This was just a show of ignorance, right? And I mean ignorance in a sincere sense. That she just
it was a rush to injustice, right? It was a rush. They were in such a rush to do this that they brought in these incompetent people. We've seen this also in the Texas case where, we also saw this incompetence. Pam Bondi, you're not only evil, you're not only acting unconstitutionally as the Attorney General of the United States, but you're also allowing mass incompetence where you're filing pleadings that are so bad that people have to disavow them in their, arguments before courts. It's just ridiculous. Folks, this rush to evil cannot be tolerated. That's why we want to bring up our next guest, and we will keep coming back to these subjects because we are watching you. We've seen that death threats against these Congress people for saying to the U.S. troops that you should not follow an unlawful order. What's wrong with that? I mean, tell me, what's wrong? Nobody should follow an unlawful order. I don't care who you are. You don't do that. So let's get into our show, Daryl, because we got some amazing guests to bring up who have been out there doing this battle, out there leading people in protest, out there making all the change that we demand in these times. We want to welcome back, you heard me, the word back, to igniting change, Reverend Glencie Rhedrick. She's there in Charlotte. She's one of the powerhouses in Charlotte. She's co-chair of the Charlotte Clergy Coalition for Justice. She's chair of the Social Justice for United Missionary Baptist Association. She's the former president of Mecklenburg Ministries, chair of the Mayfield Memorial Community Development Corporation, and UMBA Bright Stars. She's an HIV/AIDS faith ambassador and is a consultant with the UB The Cure. She's a founder of her mighty podcast, Speaking in the Key of We. Yes, you got to listen to her. And because her theme is no longer silenced, no longer invisible. She amplifies voices against social, gender, and racial injustice. And she's currently pursuing a PhD in women's spirituality at the California Institute of Integral Studies. Welcome back, mighty Reverend Glencie Rhedrick. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Barbara, for having me here today. Man, you gave me goose pimples. I was like, who are you talking about?
Well, we are just so blessed that you were able to join us. And Daryl, you want to bring up Lamair?
Sure, Barbara. It's always great to welcome people back to this show that are just doing phenomenal jobs in the community. And Lamair Bryan is one of them. He's out of North Carolina. He's a native of North Carolina, graduated from Fayetteville State at North Carolina Central University, a
Go
two-time
ahead now.
HBCU guy. Served
right.
as a Triangle Regional Organizing Manager and Digital Narrative Producer with Advanced Carolina and the North Carolina Black Alliance. At North Carolina Black Alliance, he uses organizing and storytelling to educate and mobilize Black communities. He's a former producer with the PBS North Carolina's Black Issues Forum. Lamair is also dedicated to advancing justice, equity, and inclusive democracy. He's a spring 2024, Barbara, TJC fellow.
TJC fellow!
What up? And he continues to do this work because he believes in empowering communities to have a real voice and shaping the policies and systems that affect our lives. Welcome back to Igniting Change, Lamair.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for having me. Like Daryl said, what up? I am a part of TJC, and I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to be in space with you all and just really understand what we're up against, but also to, loudly say that this is about unity and fighting for a better democracy. And what better way to do that than to, one, be on this show with you all today, but also as we go into Thanksgiving, really honing in on a sense of togetherness, unity, and community as we sit around the tables with our families this week.
All right now. So everyone across the country, the administration has been using this Gestapo. Yes, that's what they are, a bunch of thugs, Gestapo, ICE, and now they're border control all over to terrorize communities, breaking into Black neighborhood homes. Allegedly they're trying to, quote, deport, capture and deport illegal, they claim, criminals, people who have been engaged in criminality, but every study of what they have done has shown that they can't even cap that in most of these horrible situations where they're arresting people, not even a third of them even have a criminal record for anything, folks, not even for a traffic violation. It's just ridiculous. So tell us, they have, note everybody that they are only invading cities where there are Democratic mayors. Have you noticed that? Even in Memphis, in the red state Memphis, look at what they're doing, folks. This is evil, just evil. So, Reverend Rhedrick, they are in Charlotte with this really cynically titled Operation Charlotte's Web. Whoa. Yeah. What are they doing there? What has been happening? And tell us about how you have been working with people to respond.
So thank you, Barbara, for that. I'm not going to say we are comfortable and happy because we know that they're still here. A buck of them left this past Friday, heading towards Atlanta and then New Orleans. But our understanding is that in that travel to Atlanta, that Atlanta is the holding space because our sheriff refused to participate in retaining or holding our neighbors who come from other countries who came here to rear their children, have a better way of living, and have jobs. They have arrested Americans and then didn't know what to do with them. They have captured a 15-year-old boy, drove him outside of the city limits and dropped him off in the middle of nowhere. So these are not recognized law-abiding law enforcement. They are simply homegrown, Americanized terrorists carrying out the mandate of a terrorist that's occupying our White House, if you will. So we began to assemble our clersy, our various organizations, and even our elected officials to send them a very profound message. We're not bordering anything. So we are not a border state. we're not a border city. Let's say that. Let's be clear. We don't have folks trying to escape to Wilmington or to South Carolina or coming into our city. So we're not border. Why are you here? And to state that you mentioned very clearly that they came to arrest criminals. Well, the alleged criminals they arrested was less than 50, and they all had minor infractions. So nothing that warrant breaking in people's homes, breaking in their cars, and snatching them out and arresting them. You know, it's something to be said that if you are law-abiding, that you are walking around with your face covered, you're not listening to anyone, you're just acting on your own volition. So Charlotte stood up. Our elected officials stood with us to send a very loud message that you are not wanted here. You are not needed here. We are self-governing. We did not request your presence. The crime in our city has been the lowest that it's been in a while. Crime is going down. We just elected our first woman chief. So they're announcing to come into Charlotte was right on the heels of our woman chief being announced. Yes, we have a black mayor, and a Democratic mayor at that, which makes us the target. So the target, they're using the theme Charlotte's Web and coming in to remove dangerous criminals. All of that's a ruse. It's really to take us off the target. And the target is to destabilize democratic cities, to create an amount of fear, which it worked because we had over 20,000 kids who did not go to school because they were fearful of ICE coming in. So Charlotte and surrounding cities within North Carolina, we had an awakening for those who were surprised and didn't believe it could happen. We also had an opportunity to find our strength in unity. So we were coming together across ethnic lines, across faith identity lines, across gender lines. We came together standing to say no. And this past week, we went to one of the bakeries that was, I'll say this and then I'll hush Daryl, a bakery that was constantly being surveilled. So we showed up there.
Right. And Reverend Glencie, one of the things that I really want our listeners and folks to get a hold on is this, and you said it, and I'd love for you to just drill down on it a little more. We know that in Chicago, which was the template, I pretend, for how to fight back, that there was a mayor in Chicago, Brandon Johnson, who stood up and said, you're not going to get to my people unless you come through me, and directed the police department, to on how they were to interact with ICE and Homeland Security when they came there. It's something that Barbara and I call accountability, because we talk about the importance of the elected officials, but we also talk about the accountability that once those officials are in place have. You indicated that the sheriff in Charlotte said, no, ICE, no, we ain't going to hold your people. We're not going to do it. And could you drill down a little bit on that? And could you also drill down on what the mayor's response was? And were there any elected officials that took a knee and went the way of ICE rather than standing up for the people that elected them to represent them?
So Daryl, on the day that we assembled at Manolo's Bakery in Charlotte, North Carolina, we were supported by local officials and our state officials, all delivering a resounding message to Border Patrol and ICE. And we know that Border Patrol and ICE are not one and the same, but what we also learned is that because Border Patrol came in with the tactics that they use, they have emboldened ICE to do the same thing. So we sent a message to both ICE and Border Patrol that our city doesn't warrant this kind of attention, this kind of trafficking, this kind of harm, this kind of destabilization in our in our state and in our city. Our Charlotte Police Department, our CMPD, were also in alignment with protecting the community. So they too did not participate in any shape or form of harming, allowing this harm. So we had one person that was recorded calling to say that they were being followed. They called CMPD, and CMPD said, "Get to our station." Unfortunately, they made a wrong turn, and then they were accosted by ICE. So, yes, our law enforcement, our sheriff department have made it clear that they are not colluding with this group, they're not in collusion with this group, and that they're here to serve and protect all of the citizens, being documented, undocumented, papers, no papers, whatever. If you're here residing in the city of Charlotte causing no harm, then there's no reason for our sheriff department or our CMPD law enforcement to be harming you. So they have been providing protection and safety when they can, and they have asked the community. We have a whole list of hotline numbers for them to call if they find themselves in danger.
Well, I can tell you, watching the national, just watching online, thank God for people who, not only participate in these marches, but they record them and share them on, all the social media, and watching Charlotte, woo-hoo, all the people who showed up and showed out for their fellow citizens, all the kids who walked out of school, all of the protests. What a mighty, mighty statement. Now, they weren't content to just do all their misdeeds in Charlotte. They said, let us go up the road and terrorize the people in Wake County. Let us go up the road and terrorize people in Durham County. So Lamair, they've been up your way in Raleigh, doing all kinds of evil. And you've actually been a witness and have seen some of this and have been knowledgeable about what's been going on. So, on Tuesday, November 18th, they, decided to, expand their enforcement action in North Carolina to Raleigh. And they, once again, it was Customs and Border Protection agents. It was ICE. It was all this nonsense. Tell us what is going on in Wake and Durham counties.
Absolutely. So this similar to what happened in Charlotte. The ICE raids, took part in Raleigh, in Durham, in Johnston County, and these are places, that, and I would say, considering that, Charlotte was raided, at the start, we began to really be proactive in how we wanted to support and really step in and assist our neighbors. And I wanted to highlight as an organizer myself, it is important for us to speak truth to power and let it be known that ICE was not solely attacking those from immigrant, the Hispanic population and the Latino population. It was important for me to name as an organizer that ICE was attacking anyone who was not white. And we have to be honest about that, and we have to be truthful about that because, when we are truthful, when it comes to organizing and our traditional organizing practices and even our unorthodox organizing practices, that's when we are able to move people to action. When we are truthful about what we see and what we hear and what things have been done to us as a people. And so, we did see ICE, come through the Harris Teeter parking lots. We did see ICE go to one of the larger beauty worlds here in Durham that was mainly, people of, black folks go to this beauty world often. It's one of the larger beauty worlds, in Durham. We did see some folks say they were, in parks, recreation centers, trying to scout out. And to me, you're saying that, you're attacking those who have criminal records. but you all are using drones in apartment complexes, trying to scout out those who are in these apartment complexes. One apartment in particular is one of the Hispanic communities where there's a large part of our Hispanic neighbors who stay there. There were drones that were sent to these particular apartment complexes.
Wow.
But if there were anyone outside of their homes, we were told that if there were about 4 to 5 people in groups outside of their homes just talking, that's when ICE knew to come into those apartment complexes. And so
wait a minute. Whoa.
You heard.
Yeah.
Well, let's drill down on that for just a second. So there's an apartment complex where there are a lot of, I think you said Latinos, Hispanics that are living, and they're drones. What's happening with these drones?
Drones.
So drones are being used in different apartment complexes.
Wow.
That, say for instance, neighbors have seen just random drones being flown over their apartment complexes in hopes that they would see people outside so that ICE can raid that apartment complex.
Wow.
I mean, that and to think about the invasion of privacy, a lot of these folks are out of school for Thanksgiving. Some of our, kids, and, they were fearful. Some of the parents weren't dropping their kids off at school. We had restaurants in the RDU area. They were closed down for many days because they were fearful that ICE would raid their restaurants. And so we know that, in Durham particularly, the economy and entrepreneurship is huge in the RDU area. So the fact that we would go downtown Durham or you would go throughout Wake County and see a number of businesses close out of fear was upsetting and disappointing.
Yeah, but Lamair, and Barbara, I'm going back to this drone. But Lamair,
I know this first time we heard about the drones. Okay.
Because Lamair, what's supposed to be happening, what they represent to be happening, is that the people they're going after are people that either have interactions with the criminal justice system, whether they're awaiting trial or have been convicted of a trial. If you're looking at a drone and you see someone who, by your estimation, happens to look Latino or Spanish, what have you, you don't know anything about their background.
Right. This is not enforcing a warrant. This is nonsense. Folks. Daryl, it really, and Reverend Glencie, it just shows you the extent of hate. Supreme Court, this is your fault. You allowed this racial profiling. And until you change your decision and reverse this, they are going to keep on preying on innocent people. Let's talk about, what's next, because what I love is to hear that in Charlotte, once again, because the people united. You heard me, the people united. The people said, get out of here. We don't want you. And guess what? Just like in Chicago, they have started leaving. Tell us more about that, Reverend Glencie, about how the protest has made a difference.
I think having us repeatedly show up, different organizations, but collectively with a unison in messaging, stating, we don't want you here. We are self-governing. Leave our citizens alone. They came here to thrive. Let them thrive. And I think that when community stands up and we rotate in different aspects of the community, especially communities that are targeted, then they get the message. And us doing that on a weekly basis at the bakery in Charlotte, where it's right on a very heavily traffic street, you had communities supporting us being there. You had a few hecklers hollering, go back to where you came from. What we need to understand is we are on stolen land.
Yes.
This is stolen land that we are on, right? This land does not belong to them, nor does it belong to us. We have the opportunity to be stewards of the land. So to say go back to where you came from, well, where did you come from?
Right.
Because thousands of years ago, this was indigenous homeland that was stolen from them. So here we are, bringing 1800 into the 21st century with the same messaging. We will not bow, one, to the king who wants to be king that you believe is your king. We're not bowing. Two, we are going to stand in solidarity for our community. And what does that look like? It looks like our faith leaders of all faith representations. It looks like our elected officials, those who are brave enough to stand, and not only stand in solidarity with us, but to deliver a message to the community for what they stand for. We recognize that we just got finished with November general election. We recognize that, there's some shifts that we made and some shifts that we want to make, but we're also making sure that the elected officials who stand with us are standing in solidarity of fairness and justice and equality for all of our citizens. And then giving them an opportunity to know that not only do we stand by them remaining in our city, we're also providing resources. So we have food distribution. We have a counsel for them. We have a hotline for them. We've been training throughout our city what to do if you see Border Patrol in your community. Because sometimes if you go out and make enough noise, they're going to leave. They're going to leave. So we recognize that bullies, that there are bullies. That's number one.
Right.
And bullies will respond to someone standing up to them. So we have made sure that our communities are trained. Our churches are doing it. Our organizations are doing it. We're providing our schools. Our schools even gave a statement as to how they're going to protect the children that are not afraid to come to school. And then we recognize that for those children who have stayed out of school for as long as ICE has been here, how we're going to help them re-engage so that they don't lose that time. For our businesses, as Lamair talked about, the businesses in Durham, our community suffered as well. So, while we're in this blackout of corporate buying, we're asking that you support our local owners with the supplies that you may need so that they can begin to recoup some of the financial losses that they experienced while being here.
That's right.
Reverend, Reverend, one of the things that people overlook, I think, Reverend Glencie, is that when you're dealing with the schools and what's happening at the schools with the kids afraid to come to school, folks tend to think that only the kids that are afraid to come to school are traumatized by this. But the impact of what they're doing doesn't simply hit just the kids that's afraid to go to school in the family, but the kids that are in that entire community that have befriended this kid, because it impacts that entire system and everywhere that student touches. Am I right on that, Reverend?
Yes.
Reverend?
You're absolutely right. I have a 9-year-old granddaughter who said to me just yesterday, Grandma, did you know that the Latino children weren't coming to school? And I said, yes, I know. And I said, how do you feel about that? And she says, well, I'm sad about it. So, no one's talking to kids in the school who are attending school to even get any sense of how they are being impacted. This is not only traumatizing to the individuals that are being captured, if you will, but it's impacting the entire city. The entire city is feeling the woes of what is happening because a lot of times you feel helpless. What can you do about it? And so when you think about adults responding to the trauma, how do we expect our young children who are in school with a lot of their classmates who they don't see for a while, how do we expect them to respond? So yes, Daryl, you're absolutely right. It's a systemic feeling that it's kind of like when you throw the pebble in the water and the waves move out. Well, when the Border Patrol came here, it was like a boulder. And that boulder of energy, of fear, trauma, it moved throughout our community. But the one thing that it didn't do, it didn't put us in a freeze and flight state. It put us in a organized and stand up state.
There you go.
And so our goal is to continue to be in front of our community. We cannot allow the community to believe that they're gone and they're never coming back. So one of the messages that we articulate to our community is we need you to remain vigilant. Don't become so relaxed that you let your guard down, because they're still here.
Right.
They're still here. So we want them to know, we know you're still here.
And they intend to continue to disrupt until, because they want to disrupt and scare people to death not to come out for the 2026 elections. And we got to say, we got to say, hey, you're wasting your time, because we're going to show up even stronger because of your nonsense. Lamair, as a young person, I mean, you are one of these young activists who we've had the pleasure of, helping to enhance your leadership skills, but you guys are so powerful. And I just love our freedom riders and the young people who go with us on these activations and do things. And we're going to be all over the country next year. Tell people, how does it feel for your generation to see this incursion upon constitutional rights, this racial profiling? What do you think it means to the future of your generation?
Yes, and I think that's a beautiful question. And I'll just say, too, that I heard a quote that said, if you are counting young people out, you just can't count. And I really do believe that. I really do believe that we as young people will be the thing that will remix or redesign what we know democracy can be. And I say that because when we were out and about with the ICE wave, the young people, a lot of our young people were those who said that they would stand in and fight for those who didn't have a voice, or fight for those who were in fear, or fight for those teachers, those parents, those children that were in fear of going to school. Young people were those people who said, well, you know what, if this restaurant is closed, then I want to create a food drive to give that restaurant owner an opportunity to get money. If you all are trying to use drones, or if you all are trying to create misinformation and disinformation, then we'll go back like we used to do back in the day and go to the four corners of our homes to strategize. We'll go to those church fellowship halls to strategize. We'll go to the quote unquote the proverbial underground railroad, if you will, to really strategize on ways in which we can better our democracy. And I would personally say that us young people, we may be fearful, but I always tell my students and young people around me to do it scared, do it in fear, because those are the moments that will define and shift our democracy for the better. And I do believe that with our young people and the Gen Z and the Gen Alphas, the millennials, I really do believe that this is the chance in our democracy where we will shift the culture of what we know, this country is, but also we will shift of what we want democracy to be. Because often, as young people, we continue to, strive in the footsteps and the pathways of those that came before us. But also sometimes we may get off path because of white supremacy, because of capitalism, because of racism and discrimination and all of those different challenges that we face on a daily basis. But I do believe that our young people today are creating those new pathways forward, using the Ella Bakers, using the Fannie Lou Hamers, using the Thurgood Marshall, strategies and redefining what we know to be democracy and where we can thrive, not only survive, but where we can thrive in a place we call home.
My, Daryl, what a segment we have had. Reverend Glencie, I don't know if you can stay on, and Lamair, but we're going to shift and start talking about how we help people in this Thanksgiving season, and I'm so glad that you raised that, Lamair, already. And we want to welcome to the show Megan Hustings, who's the Deputy Director at the mighty National Coalition for the Homeless, who is one of our partners. Oh, yes, who has been one of our major partners in this fight. And so Megan, welcome to the show. And before we get into your questions, I wanted to ask Reverend Glencie, do you have time to stay on, or do you want to give a closing remark right now and tell people how they can get in touch with you?
I committed to stay on the show with you, so I can do that later.
John. Thank you. Lamair, do you need to depart now, or can you stay on?
Yes, I'll be departing, but I just want to say that I have another meeting to run to. But I want to say thank you all so much. Thank you all for believing in our youth. Believing in our youth, because that's what we need. Our elders. I challenge our elders. I challenge those that are in political spaces who have been working in those spaces for many years. I challenge you all to really believe that our youth, we are politically confident. We are the youth that can change the dynamic of this country. And so I always want to challenge our folks to really believe that our youth can change the dynamic of this country. And I want to say thank you all again for having me.
Well, thank you. And how do people get in touch with you, Lamair? How do people get in touch with you?
Yes, through Advanced Carolina and NC Black Alliance. We have an Instagram page as well as Facebook. I do run a bit of the social media and comm strategy as well. So you'll definitely see me on the page at some point.
You are amazing. We love you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your wisdom. You've been awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.
All right now. Now, Megan, you just came out of your national convention. And I know that you have to be exhausted, but thank you so much for coming on our show today. Tell us, what were some of the highlights of the convention? What were some of the priorities that were identified? What do you want people out in this country who are listening all over in 45 different cities, 13 different nations who are listening? Tell them what you want them to know came out of this mighty convention you just concluded.
Oh, goodness. Well, thank you, Barbara. Thanks so much for having me. And it's a tough act to squeeze in after the really powerful other folks we've had on today, because this is key. I agree fully that this is a turning point, and I'm really inspired by the youth, by everyone. So our national conference is called the National Lived Experience Leadership Conference. We have the National Coalition for the Homeless have since our beginning in the 1980s known that those who are closest to the experience of being unhoused are the ones who are going to lead us into real change. And so this conference is based on that, on the lived experience. Let's all get together and share from our own personal experience of homelessness. It is a safe place, it is a welcoming space that doesn't always exist for people who have been unhoused at some point, who we consider who are the true leaders. So it's just it was a day and a half, 2 days of pure inspiration and love and holding each other up. And I think that's the thing I want to leave you with, that we're in this together. And just like you guys were talking about earlier, the sense of community, and we are here to build each other up, to support each other. And that's what we need to do. It's what we need to continue doing. This is definitely a time near the holidays that a lot of people will volunteer or think about giving either financially or food or their time, which is amazing. And I'm just thinking that we are looking at a whole lot of more need, unfortunately, coming our way. The HUD's reworking of the homeless programs is going to leave 170,000 people who have recently been housed back on the streets. These are people who are elderly, who have a disability, who have multiple health conditions. 170,000 people are in danger of losing housing on top of all the other needs that we know. We're all struggling to pay for our food, and with food, SNAP and food stamps being cut, with ridiculous work requirements that being instituted, with Medicaid being slashed, with the premium tax credits for the Affordable Care Act disappearing. Everything is getting more expensive for all of us in our communities, and this is the time that we come together and say no more. This is not the way that our country works. This is not the way that it's ever worked or ever should work. We are a community together. This huge, gigantic country that we live in is a beautiful place, and we are all beautiful people who can work together and make it a better place.
Amen. Amen. And, Reverend Glencie and Megan, Reverend Jesse Jackson, as everyone knows, has been fighting, a health crisis. And in the hospital, as he was in the hospital, fighting this horrific, infection and struggling to make sure that he could continue on. One thing he did that was amazing, Daryl, was that he said to the nation, people were like, oh, he's, so weak. And he perked up and said, I want people to feed 2 million people this season. Mm-hmm. And nobody could believe it. That was what came out of his mouth. He was thinking about those who are food insecure, who are hungry. And that's what came out of his mouth. Daryl, you heard about this before I did. It's just amazing that this is the spirit. How do we get that spirit, Reverend Glencie and Megan, how do we get that spirit into every American? That, in this time we need each other. And this time we need to not only we ain't buying it, but we're also we need to direct our dollars to the charities that are out there trying to help people.
So, Barbara and Megan, thank you so much for doing the work that you're doing. I think one of the things that we want to be mindful of is that this is a season of reimagining, re-educating, an opportunity to even reimagine a different way of caring for one another. If we go back to what we know to be true for those who have faith identity, one thing that is central to all is that there is an abundance. For so long, this country has operated from a scarcity point of view that we don't share, and it's a lot of it's intentional for some who have the ability to share, and for others, it's the fear that if I give, then I'm not going to have. I think from an organizational standpoint, one of the things that we want to be able to do is educate us. And I'm going to say us because it's a collective responsibility that we are here for each other. And what does that look like? That looks like there should be no table that goes without food. That looks like no family should go without shelter. It looks like no family should go without the basic needs for them to be able to thrive. We have to begin to reimagine a world differently from what it is. Unfortunately, for this administration, it has jolted our community in a direction that while it's creating fear, it's given us an opportunity to look at new ways to do the things that we know we should be doing. So our churches need to be being able to provide food, not 45 days Because the minute that little box the family gets, that box is finished by the end of that evening. So we need to be able to create opportunities where persons are not sanctioned, where they're not having to prove. The need is there. Supply the need for whatever that is. And understand that it's going to continue to flow because we are an abundance and we are living in an abundance amidst the scarcity. So that's one of the things that I think we have to do.
And tell people, how do they get in touch with you?
I am located in Charlotte, North Carolina. I have a podcast. Some folks call it a podcast. I call it a show. First and third Fridays of every month, speaking in the key of we. You can reach me there. My email address, you can reach me at revglencie@gmail.com. That's the easiest one. Contact me there. And my phone number, 980-465-9077. Give me a call.
Thank you so much. And the same to you. And thank you so much. You've been so powerful. Megan, how do people reach the National Coalition for the Homeless? And you.
Thank you. Oh, sure. So we're at nationalhomeless.org, on most socials at National Homeless, and we have lots available there. You can reach me at Hustings at nationalhomeless.org. My last name is Hustings. Please, we say that there's anywhere from like 2 to 4 times the number of empty units for the number of people that HUD counts as homeless every year. We definitely have enough for everybody. So I just thank you so much for having me on. It's truly an honor and very humbling.
Oh, you're great. Daryl, take us home. Take us home, Daryl.
Thank you, Barbara. And great thanks to Reverend Glencie Rhedrick for being with us today. Super thanks to Megan Houston for being with us today. And, of course, my fraternity brother, Lamar Bryan, for being with us today. Thank you all for doing that. Folks, through this holiday season, give thanks for everything that's around you. Give appreciation for everything that's around you. Folks, we give thanks for Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, who is now on his way to recovery and out of the hospital. We're appreciative of the blessings that are being answered there. Father, we also give thanks for the life that was lived of Mother Viola Fletcher, who just recently passed away, who showed you what it's like to be on the battlefield and battle until the last day. Folks, as we say, as we close out this show, get off the sidewalks, get into the streets, get into some good trouble, give some people an opportunity, stand up for somebody, stand up for yourself. Until next Tuesday, noon, Eastern Standard Time, have a great holiday, and peace, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Urban One Incorporated, Radio One, or any of its subsidiary companies.
The preceding program was paid for by Barbara Arnwine